Introduction to Algebra. So after learning about arithmetic, where we learn about numbers, and then after learning about geometry, where we learned about shapes, structures and all, the next important topic in mathematics is algebra. Now, almost none of the great achievements in modern science would be possible without bridging the gap between mathematics and science. So without bridging the gap between the mathematics and science, that is the mathematization of science, mathematization of science. Almost none of the great achievements in modern science would be possible without this. This is the first factor. And the second factor was the development of algebra, and that is what we are going to discuss. We are going to learn about algebra. So these are the two most important factors without which the great achievements in modern science would not be possible. Okay, so since you are only beginning beginning to learn algebra, therefore I'm not going to enter into too much of technicalities to explain the algebra, or I'm not going to use too many jargons so that you do not get confused. Let's begin. Let's understand algebra in a very simple way. So the first point that I want to discuss with you is this: the father of algebra, Muhammad ibn Musa al-Khwarizmi. Muhammad ibn Musa al-Khwarizmi was the father of algebra, a Muslim mathematician and astronomer. And the word algebra stems from the Arabic word al-zabr. Algebra stems from the Arabic word al-zabr. Now, if you want to understand this algebra, what algebra is, it's a very important tool in mathematics where you can use the concept of arithmetic and geometry to handle real world problems, and you can solve complex issues using the algebra. And let's understand with two very basic examples. Suppose there are two persons, person A and the person B. Okay, I'm just trying to explain you algebra in a very simple way. So person A and a person B. The person B asks to person A, how much money do you have? How much money do you have? B asks to A. So A asks that how much do you have? A asks to B, how much do you have? So B says that I have rupees 100 in my pocket. Now you tell how much do you have? So the A says that I have that amount of money, such as if I add 20 to it, if I add 20 to that amount, the total sum, the final sum would be equal to the amount of money that you have. Again, B says that I have rupees 100 in my pocket, and B asks A, what amount do you have? A says that I have that amount such that if I add 20 to it, the total sum, the final sum will be equal to the amount that you have. So B thinks, what can be added to 20 so that it can become 100? It's a layman process, right? What would be added to 20, since A told that if someone adds 20 to the amount he has, then it will become 100. So instantly B will think that, okay, this question mark, that is what could be the amount, will be what? 80, because if I add 20 to 80, this will become 100. Now a mathematician or a mathematics student will think it like this. What amount can be added to 20 so such that it becomes 100? Now, this x, even it can be y plus 20 is equal to 100. It can be z plus 20 is equal to 100. Now, of course, x, y, z are some letters whose value is not known, and we are using it only to know its value or quantity. So these letters are simple variables. These letters or symbols that any mathematics students or a mathematician will use. These symbols or letters are variables, whose value is not known. So a mathematician will think, suppose that B is a mathematician, so mathematician, he or she will think that, okay, if I add 20 to x, then it should become 100. That means x will be equal to 100 minus 20. Therefore, x will be equal to 80. Now you can see that in two different steps, we found out the value of x, and that is 80, and that's equal to this one only, where we didn't use any variable, but in our mind we calculated the value. So this would be a method adopted by a layman, and this would be a more professional way by a mathematician or any mathematics student. This is an example of algebra, where we use some variables whose value is not known. The variable we are using, its value is not known. These variables are symbols or letters. It can be x, y, z, it can be a, b, c, it can be l, m, n. Doesn't matter what variable letter you are taking, it only tells you that its value is not known yet, and it is variable and it can take any value depending upon what final outcome is. Okay, I'll take one more example. I'll explain you one more example. And let's say that again two persons, person A and person B. Person B asks to A, what's the area of land that you have? What's the area of land that you have? A asks in return, what area do you have? What's the area of your land? So B tells that my area is 500 square meter. This is my area. So A tells that, okay, if yours is 500, then mine is, if I multiply, the area of land that I have is like, if I multiply 2 to it, it will be equal to the area of land that you have. Again, B asks A, what is the area of land that you have? A asks in return, what is the area of land that you have? B tells, the area of land that I have is 500 square meter. So A tells that, okay, if yours is 500 square meter, then the area of land that I have is such that if I multiply 2 to it, then the final outcome will be equal to the area of land that you have. So this person will think, a layman will think, okay, what can be multiplied to 2 such that it becomes 500? And instantly he or she will think, okay, if I multiply 250, if I multiply 2 to 250, then this will be 500. So this will be a, you know, a way to approach to solve to find the value of a layman. How would a mathematician or a mathematics student will think? He or she will think that, okay, what can be multiplied to x, where x is what? A variable whose value is still not known. Not known. Since it's a variable, it can take any value depending upon the outcome. And x, it can be x, it can be y, it can be z, it can be a, it can be b, any letter, doesn't matter. What matters is it is a variable and whose value is still not known. So 2 times x, 2 times x, 2 times x should be equal to 500. Should be equal to 500. This is what the person B, if he or she is a mathematician or a mathematics student, will think of. And this can be solved as x is equal to 500 divided by 2 square meter, and this will be equal to x is equal to 250 square meter. Now you can see, using a variable whose value is not known, a mathematician or a mathematics student, or let's say we can calculate its value and can tell what amount that variable, what quantity or the value of that variable will be, what will be its value. So in this example we used x, and in this example we used x to find the value. And what's the important thing? We have to play with variables. Simply, algebra is playing with variables, looking at the problems, at different problems using variables and then solving it and finding the value. This is a very basic, this discussion was a very basic of algebra. In the next videos we will go a little deeper into algebra so that the concept of algebra becomes more and more clear to you, and it could become clear to us how can we use it in our day-to-day life. And believe me, it's a fun. Algebra is fun.